Welcome everyone to the senior prize giving of our class of 2021. I would like to congratulate the class of 2021 on their excellent A-level results. I would like to pass on particular credit to those who have achieved individual awards. As a cohort, I must commend your resilience that you have displayed ever since your education was disrupted first in March 2020. You are a credit to the school, to your families, and most importantly, to yourselves, with your ability to overcome obstacles at all junctures. Thank you for the contribution that you have made to the extracurricular life, the social life, and academic life of the school throughout your time with us. I hope that your current studies, training, or employment is everything that you have hoped for. We are always here to help you or guide you in the future if ever you need us. I would now like to welcome our head prefect, Ryan Colton.
Mr. McConnell, members of the board, teachers, our guest speaker John Kelly, fellow pupils, parents and friends of our school, I am honoured and privileged to take on the role of head prefect for the year 2021 and 22. Together, along with my deputy prefects, we collectively bring many strengths and attributes to help us fulfil our new roles and continue to maintain the high standards set by our predecessors. I would like to acknowledge last year's head prefect Sean Devine for his commitment and leadership, and will endeavour to follow in his footsteps and make a significant contribution to the Christian Brothers community. Tonight is about celebrating success. I want to congratulate you all for your achievements this year. Once again, we achieved the expected level of excellence that is synonymous with the Christian Brothers. The benchmark has been set high, and we shall continue to excel. The school community and I are all inspired by your work ethic and your ability to continue to work towards your own personal goals in the midst of these unprecedented times. To our teachers and supporting staff, who went above and beyond to support us throughout the year, we are extremely thankful. This year has been different. The delight at having no exams and the fear of the dreaded predicted grades, the disappointment at missing out on the McCrory Cup last year will surely be softened by the belief that we are going to win it this year. As for our fellow pupils leaving, the past 7 years have provided you with a strong foundation which will enable you to fulfil your future ambitions. We, as a school community, are excited to see where the next chapter brings you.
On behalf of our school community, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you as we begin this unique occasion to celebrate the achievements of the Year 14 class of 2021. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to recognise your outstanding results achieved amid very challenging times. Your results reflect your diligent work, the work of dedicated teachers, which combined with the support of your parents, have produced excellent grades. You returned to school in mid-August in the most difficult circumstances. You were fully aware that there could be a reoccurrence of the experiences of the previous year when the school closed and external examinations were cancelled. The Department of Education had provided no clear guidance on examinations, but had said that if there were no exams, that grades would be awarded on evidence-based achievement, using work completed in school under exam conditions. The impression given was that every piece of classwork, coursework and homework could be used as evidence of achievement. The reality was that all work was completed under this pressure and the encouragement to take risks for learning was abandoned. Students and teachers felt that they could not take risks, but that with the short period of time available could only focus on what was needed to meet the requirements of the SIA assessments and the centre-determined grades. As you know, the school locked down after Christmas, so all teaching and learning was online, with the additional challenges and extra pressures that brought to you as students, your parents and the teaching and support staff of the school. You returned to school before Easter. It was a time for catch-up, balanced with not overloading you over the Easter period. You needed to be fresh when you returned to school for a series of CA assessments. And when you returned, it was to a few weeks of CA assessments that the examination board had eventually provided to schools at the beginning of May. For the teachers, their classroom-based work occurred simultaneously with weekly staff development training on how the centre determined grades were to operate and what evidence was required for individual, departmental and whole school moderation of students' work. The tension and stress within school over the months of May and June was huge for both students and staff. It was under those conditions above that your excellent grades were achieved, and the level of commitment and cooperation from you and your families throughout the year amid very trying circumstances was remarkable. If ever a set of grades was hard earned, it was this year, and you students are to be highly complimented for your achievements. There are few positives emerging from the difficult situation you've experienced over the past 2 academic years. However, your resilience and strength of character is to be admired, and we can only hope that you do not have a repeat of those stressful times again during this year or during your future education. If you do, be assured that you can look back on your coping mechanisms and experience of the past 2 academic years to sustain you and to overcome whatever challenges that are posed. So to you, the students of 2021, be very proud of your achievements and do not let anyone demean your grades or underestimate the challenges that you have faced throughout the past 2 years and the period up until your grades were finally accepted by CA in August of this year. Anyone involved in education is very conscious that those were very stressful times, and believe me, you are very much deserving of those outstanding results. So you're very welcome to this virtual occasion to thank you for your commitment to the life of the school over the past 7 years and to recognise your excellent results. There certainly were some outstanding achievements this year, and just to mention a few. Overall, 68 students achieved 3A grades or better in the A-level examinations of 2021. And of those 68, 20 of you achieved 3A stars or better. And among those results were the outstanding achievements of 1 student achieving 4 A star grades and 1 student with 2 A stars, 1 A star grade and 1 B grade. These excellent results were mirrored by the Year 13 students with their AS achievements at their level. 22 students achieved grade A in 4 subjects, 38 students achieved grade A in 3 subjects, and as you know, there are no A star grades at AS level. These excellent achievements reflect the combined effort of you as students, the work of your teachers, and the impact of supportive parents. A real team effort. It is now my privilege and pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, John Kelly. John was a pupil at the school from September 2000 until June 2007. He was an outstanding student achieving 3A grades in English, Geography and Politics. On leaving the Christian Brothers School, John went to the University of Manchester to study law, and after graduation he obtained a training contract with Arthur Cox, a leading law firm in Belfast. He completed his institute examinations at Queen's University and was enrolled as a solicitor in 2013. John has developed considerable expertise in employment law, working with leading Belfast-based firms including Pinsent Masons and Worthingtons up until 2020, when he joined the CME Group as an in-house lawyer. The CME Group are a Chicago-based global firm with 4,500 employees and an annual revenue of more than $4 billion US. John, I congratulate you on your successful career for a young man and welcome you to our virtual Prizegiving and look forward to you sharing some of your thoughts and experiences with us.
A very good evening to everybody at Omagh CBS. I want to begin by thanking senior management and in particular Mr McBride for inviting me back, albeit virtually. It's very 2020-2021 style to stand comfortably speaking to you from the other side of a camera lens. I suppose it's worth saying that Omagh CBS has produced actors, artists, diplomats, musicians, surgeons, judges, journalists and lots of exceptionally talented and interesting people throughout its history. Unfortunately for you, you've drawn the short straw and have to listen to a boring old solicitor for the next 5 or 10 minutes. I'm very humbled to be speaking to you this evening, and I have to say that when I got a phone call from Mr McBride back in the summer, I could only assume that it must have been in relation to that PE kit unintentionally or intentionally I mislaid back in 2006. I don't intend to bore you with my CV or anything like that. Suffice to say that I've been very fortunate since leaving Omagh CBS and find myself today in a rewarding and stimulating career as an in-house employment lawyer after a number of years in private practice. I suppose I want to begin as well by touching on one of the themes of what I'm going to say over the next few minutes, which is the law which I practice. The law itself probably makes up about 10% of what I do on a daily basis. The rest is essentially tapping into those life skills which I learned during my early working life at university and, believe it or not, during my time at Omagh CBS. I'm very conscious that I'm talking to a group of people who weren't even born when I started the CBS back in 2000, and you were probably starting primary school when I left Omagh CBS, if my calculations are correct. Mr Killen will probably tell you that they aren't, but I do feel very, very old all of a sudden. Nonetheless, despite the passage of time, I do have some very fond memories of my days at Omagh CBS. Whether that's Mr White's supreme knowledge of Yeats and all the context around it, which for some reason sticks with me and still has me pointing at blue plaques in places like Dublin and Howth, or whether it's Mr Noel Donnelly's PowerPoint presentations on US politics, which still come in useful for one evening in November every 4 years or so, he'll be glad to hear. Or even whether it's my time spent as an honorary A-level music student. I wasn't actually studying A-level music, but I spent a lot of time floating around Mrs Fretinier's room and the practice rooms of the music block, playing guitar and chilling out with my much more talented friends who actually were studying music. But those are some of the memories that stick with me to this very day. No doubt, the CBS gave me and my peers an excellent education and an excellent grounding for life, and I've no doubt that that's what they've continued to provide to you guys as well. The CBS had many dedicated teachers, and I suppose there was always a focus on academic excellence, which is important. But as you'll come to learn, I think possibly when you move on from university and into working life, whether that's in Ireland, across the water, or further afield, it provided that academic excellence and that grounding, but with none of the frills and none of the snobbery that sometimes you see elsewhere. And I think that's really important in that at the CBS in Omagh, I believe there was always an undertone and an ethos of respect. And it meant respect regardless of where you came from, regardless of your background or what your own personal or family situation was. I think there were key values as well, and there were values that focused on compassion and on achieving, importantly, through merit. Also, I suppose for me, there was always an undercurrent of justice too. Those things, I hope, will stay with you now as you move on or have moved on from the CBS. They've certainly stayed with me, I suppose directly in my job and in my career, but also I would like to think in my personal life as well. At the stage you're at now, you haven't necessarily realised, and I don't mean for this to sound condescending, that those values have been instilled in you as you move on from the CBS, but I certainly hope that they have been, and I say that with some degree of confidence. I understand that many of you will have moved on to university, some others to apprenticeships, and others still into the world of work. In one way or another, what's certain is that your horizons are broadening and will continue to do so in the coming weeks, months, and indeed years. I've been there, albeit a few years ago now, as I've said, but I want to share a few thoughts of mine with you this evening for what they're worth. It can be a tough transition in many ways, as some of you will already have experienced. You might go from being top of the class to being somewhere in the middle of the scoreboard at university, or in your apprenticeship, or otherwise. For others, you might go from being mediocre and not all that bothered about what was going on at school to actually excelling at university and really enjoying whatever it is you're working at and focusing on now. You'll find your feet, you'll find your friends, and you might even find your new home along the way as well. First and foremost, what I would say to all of you, regardless of which direction you're taking, is be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. I'd also say get stuck in, join things, meet people, travel. Of course, that's not all that easy at the moment with everything that's going on in the world, but try to get stuck in and embrace all of those experiences. At the same time though, retain your sense of self and your own individuality. The other thing I would say is remember the values that are important to you and maybe even trying to do a few hours work along the way too. In a similar vein, but more practically, what I would say is keep up your interests, keep up your hobbies and stay passionate about the things you really enjoy and the things that make you an individual. You'll have listened to people talking about extracurricular activities and you'll have been fed up listening to people talking about the importance of all that stuff. I know that I certainly was. But here I am preaching the same old lesson. What I would say is when you move on from university, when you go for that first job interview, the second job interview, maybe even the 10th job interview, when you have a few years experience under your belt, people don't really want to talk about your qualifications. At that stage, anyone who's being interviewed can probably do the job. They want to talk about you. For me, it was always music, and I've talked more in interviews about Horslips tribute bands or singing for Mary McAleese than I have about anything else. But these sorts of things people find entertaining. They find them interesting and they make you stand out. They make you unique. They show that you're passionate about other things, not just the 9 to 5 or whatever it is you're interviewing for. So for you, what I would say is keep up your interests, whether it's football, whether it's music, whether it's acting, art, something weird or wonderful, whatever it is, keep it up. Sell yourself and stay focused, not just on the academic side of things or the work experience or the grad schemes, but on your passions in life. Although you all moved on from the CBS a few months ago now, tonight formally I think marks the beginning of the next chapter and a step into adulthood for all of you guys. And with that, I should say will come fantastic highs, but potentially some lows as well. There will be happiness and opportunities aplenty, but there will also be some adversity along the way too. And I don't say that to put a dampener on the evening, but to be realistic. Your year group has had to contend with that reality already. I think with everything that's gone on in the world over the best part of the last 2 years, with having to live out your final few years at school in the midst of a global pandemic, not being able to go out and celebrate and do all the things you would normally do at your stage in life, you have seen that harsher side, probably in a way that other year groups or generations haven't. I'm also conscious as well that you experienced the tragic loss and untimely loss of fellow student James in recent months, and it's those sorts of harsh realities, challenges and bumps that will meet you as you formally leave the CBS tonight and navigate your way through life. And I suppose what I'm trying to say is that it won't necessarily always be plain sailing. However, what I do want to say alongside that is that you should rest assured that as you move on, in my view at least, you're leaving Omagh CBS with a solid and unwavering set of foundations with which to take on the world, good, bad and ugly. And like I've emphasised already, that's not just the academic bare necessities. It's all of the other components around ethos, values such as compassion, fairness and justice, and experiences and life skills as well. And I certainly hope that those will stick with you and that you'll use all of that to your advantage. A few very brief final words. I suppose I just want to say that I'm incredibly jealous. I wish I was sitting where you're sitting this evening, and I wish I could do it all over again. I have every confidence that all of you will have a fantastic future to look forward to, and I'd again just emphasise that you should go out there with confidence and grab the opportunities as they come towards you. Most importantly, enjoy every minute of it. I wish you all the very best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for your contribution. And hopefully, when we return to some sort of normality, we'll be able to invite you into the school and perhaps offer some careers advice to our senior students. We will now have the presentation of award medals, achievement certificates and awards for high attendance over the past 7 years. Unfortunately, due to the COVID pandemic, we were unable to offer extracurricular activities last year, nor were we able to provide volunteering opportunities for our students who annually give up their time to support community events. I've been asked by Mr McBride to inform you that your achievement certificates will be posted out to you, and we ask those students who received award medals, please contact the school to make arrangements to collect them. I will now conclude our prize giving event and leave you with a few thoughts to consider. And being an historian, I will frame these around the present, the past and the future. And starting with the present, where you are now. You have now reached the end of an era for you. You may be at university, working or taking a gap year. This virtual prize giving will be the last event for you collectively, as a group of CBS students organised by the school. If you're living away from home, you'll find that you have greater independence, but also the challenges of managing yourself. And for some, that can be a luxury or a burden. The independence can be appealing, but needs to be managed well. Over the course of your last 2 years in school, you have shown high levels of self-motivation and diligence, attributes that are important and highly valued, whether at university or now in the world of work. You have made that step away from home. No doubt the values and standards that you have learned from your parents and reinforced by the school will have shaped your character and provided a secure foundation for your future. The term referring to one's character is not easy to define. It refers to those qualities that are distinctive to an individual. I will focus on a few of those qualities of good character, in particular integrity and honesty, which the American author Spencer Johnson says have much in common. According to him, integrity was telling myself the truth, and honesty is telling the truth to other people. And possibly that's as good a definition as any. Integrity is a powerful characteristic for any young man and is an attribute that is hugely respected by all generations. According to Harper Lee, the author of To Kill a Mockingbird, integrity is the ability to do the right thing, even when it is hard. Those decisions to do the right thing will arise on many occasions and maybe even have already arisen since you have moved to university or into work. Has there been occasions when you have not acted with integrity, where you have not done the right thing, where your behaviour has been inappropriate, or did not show respect to another person or for yourself? You cannot change the past, but you have shown that you are an effective learner. You can learn for the future and change your behaviour. But how do you establish that you are not acting with integrity? Colin Powell, a 4-star general in the US Army and the first black American Secretary of State, who died recently on the 18th of October, said, "A sense of shame is not a bad moral compass." The dictionary defines a moral compass as a person's ability to judge what is right and wrong and act accordingly. Those values and standards set by your parents will help you make that judgment. Those values and standards are your moral compass, and we all know when we've done wrong. Honesty was the other quality I referred to. Abraham Lincoln said in a speech in Clinton, Illinois in September 1854, and you've possibly heard some of this quote before, he said, "If you forfeit the confidence of your fellow citizens, you can never regain their respect and esteem. It is true that you may fool all the people some of the time. You can even fool some of the people all of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. If your friends and acquaintances know that you can be trusted as a person, they should respect you for what you do and say. And it is true that honestly voicing an opinion, especially of a personal nature to someone else, may require diplomacy, discretion, and even sensitivity. Nevertheless, honesty is often the best policy." Integrity and honesty are strong indicators of the character of an individual, and from that develops your reputation. However, Thomas Paine, the American-born political activist and revolutionary from the 18th century, reminds us just that reputation is what men and women think of us. Character is what God and the angels know of us. Your experiences inside and outside school over the past 2 years illustrate your strength of your character. You were faced with conditions that are unprecedented during a global pandemic. With school closures and lockdown, you faced a huge threat to your education, a collapse to your social life beyond the school, and a removal of any normality for society as a whole. This is when you displayed the integrity of doing the right thing, even when it was hard, and showed honesty, and your strong character during those trying conditions. Leonardo da Vinci said, "The depth of strength of human character are defined by moral reserves. People reveal themselves completely only when they are thrown out of the customary conditions of their life, for only then do they have to fall back in the reserves. You were certainly thrown out of your customary conditions of your life. You're able to fall back not only in your personal reserves, but the values and support of your family. Family support is to be treasured and not forgotten, especially now that you have greater independence and possibly living away from home. Your experiences over the past 2 years will undoubtedly equip you with the skills and attributes to manage whatever challenges that you face in later life, and I have every confidence that you will do well. And move on now to the past, where you come from. That means your family, your parents, your parish, town or locality, your life to date, your experiences have made you what you are. I already mentioned that your family values of your parents and guardians, integrity, honesty and good habits have been such a positive influence on you and who you are. But I'd also ask you never forget where you have come from. Always maintain a pride in your roots. Remember that you are always also now a past pupil of the Christian Brothers Grammar School Omagh. As you know, the Christian Brothers came to Omagh 160 years ago this year. They arrived in 1861. The year has been inscribed in our updated school crest. And I do hope that you look back in your days in the Christian Brothers School with fond memories, and you're proud of your seat of learning on the Kevlin Road. We are very proud of you. You, the leavers of 2021, have been wonderful ambassadors for the school over the past 7 years. Your willingness to engage in extracurricular activities in sport, music, drama, on every occasion, you represented the school with distinction and respect. Your willingness to volunteer your time to help others, collecting for local charities, the St Vincent de Paul Christmas collection, street collections, or assisting at school events. All your help was very much appreciated, and so much missed over the past year, restricted due to the COVID pandemic. I have no doubt that you will continue to represent the school well as past pupils wherever you go. And finally, the future and what lies ahead. Do not underestimate your influence for the years ahead. You are the future leaders of society in areas of science, business, finance, law, education, politics, whatever route you choose to follow. Our prize-giving booklet illustrates the potential of our former students. John Kelly left the school 14 years ago, and in that short space of time he has established himself as an employment law expert for a global legal company. Despite his lofty position, when asked would he be our guest speaker, he was only too willing to oblige. We are very proud of John's successes, as we are of the leavers of 2021. For the future, see the world if that's what you want to do. This global pandemic will pass and the world will open up again. But remember, this part of the world also needs leaders, needs businessmen, needs enterprise and entrepreneurs, needs employers, needs good people with strong character, honesty and integrity in every walk of life. So don't forget where you have come from, and hopefully as you become a leader, and some of you become our leaders locally, we will see more of you, not less of you in the future. Also, remember you will always be a brother's boy, and that gives you a special relationship with the school. We will still be here in Omagh if you need us. In time we may move from the Kevlin Road to the Gorton Road, although that doesn't look likely it's going to happen too soon, but wherever we are located, we will still be here if you need our help. I wish you the very best in the years ahead. Stay in touch. Above all, look after yourselves and don't be afraid to follow your dreams. Before I finish, a few words of thanks. Firstly, to our sponsors of our student bursaries, Liam Bradley Pharmacy, Cormac McAleer Photography and Telestack Engineering. We very much appreciate your support to our school and to our students. And to all our local community groups that we work with throughout the year, in terms of street collections, to allow our students to volunteer, and in particular to our main charities, the Enda Dolan Foundation, St Vincent de Paul, and the Edmund Rice Overseas Schools. While limited opportunities this past year, our students have really valued that experience and the enjoyment of working with your organisations. I also wish to acknowledge the work of several staff in the school who have brought this event all together and ensured that our virtual celebration could happen. To Mrs. Martina McCahey, who is responsible for collating the information for the prize-giving booklet, which will be sent out with the achievement certificates, and to Mrs. Sharon Gormley for the cover design and printing. To Fergal Quinn for the PowerPoint presentation, to Chris Eccles for all the photography, and to Nevin Colton, our past pupil, for his video work for the prize giving. Thanks also to Mrs. Zita McNulty for the provision of the achievement certificates, and to the main office staff of Marie Donaghy, Sinead Mibna and Michaela Carlin for all the administrative work related to our virtual prize giving. And finally to Mr. Kieran McBride, who is our senior teacher, is our community link for all his work bringing the different elements of this event together to create a bespoke prize giving for a very exceptional year and an excellent memory for you as our leavers of 2021. That brings to the end of the 2021 Omagh CBS virtual prize giving. Thank you.